Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology for April 17th through the 23rd. My name is Shawna McGrath. I'm an astrologer and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. We have a solar eclipse, Mercury retrograde, and some other things happening. So excited to share it with you so that we can make the most out of the energy of this week. So biggest thing that's happening this week is we have a new moon solar eclipse in Aries. This is happening on Wednesday, April 19th at 9:12 p.m. Pacific time. And so eclipses are a symbol of transition and change, and they can sort of have this faded kind of quality to them, or it feels like there are circumstances that happen in our lives that feel sort of destined or fated. Now, that's up for debate if that is actually what's happening, but that's sort of the feeling tone of it, where when we're in this eclipse period, it feels like there's a lot of either synchronicity or something comes in or happens in your life where it feels like there's no way that you could have planned or put all of these steps into place. So it kind of feels like that, like there's something else at work here. Now, we're going to have two eclipses in the next month or so during this period. So eclipses typically come in pairs and they happen about every 6 months. Sometimes we'll get a third eclipse in there, but usually it's two. So in this case, we have a new moon solar eclipse in Aries this week on the 19th. And then we have a lunar full moon eclipse in Scorpio on May 5th. And then we'll have another set of eclipses in October later this year. So we have this kind of like, I think of it as like the portal opens and then it closes for a time and then it opens and then closes for a time. And I think of eclipses as like a portal space because, for a few different reasons, because it's kind of like this time where it feels like, again, that faded kind of quality where things are coming in and going out and where change can happen very rapidly. Again, without much intervention from us, kind of feels like this quality of being guided. And the other piece of this is that from our perspective, the nature visually of an eclipse is that the light of the sun or the moon is very temporarily, very briefly blocked or blotted out. And then the light is revealed again. And so we're like, symbolically, we're very briefly in this dark space, which is sort of like a transitional space, sort of like a portal space, like a threshold space. And so for a very brief period of time, we're unable to see or make sense of things in the way that we typically would via sight. And so we need to use our other resources, our other perceptions to feel forward and to see where we're going. And so this is because, this is a reason why it's very beneficial to look for where we're being guided during this next month, during this eclipse season, where it feels like there's a natural flow of energy, where things feel very easy and effortless, or you simply feel drawn to a certain scenario. And in contrast, where things feel like they're just not, like, as much as you try, it's just not working. There's no flow there. And I think that it's a nuance between like something isn't working because maybe we're having a Saturn transit to a personal planet and we just really need to put in the long-term devotion and effort and just keep going, versus there's something bigger at work. There's something telling you that this is not necessarily the right way, and only you know the answer to that and what is right for you. But I share that with you because it's kind of like we're looking for how we're tapping into the fabric of life, and where there's ease there, and where there's maybe a little bit of like the timing not quite right at this point in time. Now, this eclipse is happening in Aries, and so this sign is very much about moving forward with passion, with enthusiasm. Aries is also very connected to intuition, and it's about action through inspiration, like not necessarily planning out all the details. It's really about like doing the thing and feeling that inner fire and that inner drive. So so it feels like there's kind of like this mixing pot of, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of movement because of this eclipse. Now, we also have a lot of movement and change because of Mercury retrograde beginning this week. So Mercury will station retrograde in Taurus on April 21st, and then it will be retrograde until May 14th. So it does its retrograde process firmly in Taurus. It moves from 15 degrees of Taurus back to 5 degrees of Taurus from our perspective. And so Mercury is also, interestingly, a symbol of transition and portal space and limbo space, because it is the planet of transitory things. It's about being in two places at once, or being this thing as well as this thing. It has that kind of shapeshifter, paradoxal energy to it. And of course, at a more practical level, Mercury is about communication, logic, thought process, how we share information and ideas with others. And it's also a symbol of business, contracts, the agreements and the way that we make agreements with other people, the language that we use. And it's also a symbol of dreams and intuition and even astrology and other occult practices. So with Mercury being retrograde, this is a time over these next couple of weeks through May 14th where our thought process is more internalized, and we get to reflect and look back and go back to projects or situations that we want to change or modify in some way. So if you've been following me for a bit, you know that I'm really into destigmatizing certain themes in astrology that we have a negative view of. So one of those is Mercury retrograde, the 12th house, the 8th house, Pluto. I think that if you Google any of those things, you typically see a lot of negative information. And while sometimes, yes, these things can be challenging, I think that a part of what's happening is that we tend to demonize parts of astrology that don't fit into what a cultural norm is. So the cultural norm for us in Western society, at least, is to constantly be producing and moving forward, being productive, getting shit done, hustling, etc. And you know, we have to do this, right, in order to pay our bills and be in the world. And Mercury retrograde is the opposite of this. Mercury retrograde is about pausing and looking back on the progress that you've made. And it's really about like sitting back and saying, okay, like how do I feel about this? Do I want to sit down and maybe take this apart or rethink it? And typically when we do that, we're not able to just continue to produce and be productive from an external view. I think that introspection can actually be very productive, but it doesn't always appear that way on the outside. So I want you to be thinking about this, and it doesn't mean like don't be productive or don't do things, but it does really encourage us to take advantage of this energy to reflect and revise and change things up. It can even be something as simple as reorganizing a space in your physical environment. For those of us who work in, you know, like have a business or something like that. It could be like updating your website or updating your intake form or updating some type of process at your work where it's like, oh, this, you know, I'm not really crazy about the way that this is set up, but it's okay. It's fine for now. It's like, this is the time to go back and to sort of retool it and to make it better, really. So if we want to make this even more personal to you, we would look at the house that is ruled by Taurus in your birth chart, because this is going to be the area where Mercury is really concentrated. So Mercury retrograde is going to be very different for people who have Taurus ruling the 10th house of career versus someone that has Taurus ruling the 7th house of relationships, or someone that has Taurus ruling the 12th house of the unconscious and spiritual practices. So it's going to give you that extra layer of information. So this is kind of like also a lot of energy around like things changing and transitioning. And then the other thing that's happening this week is we will have right after the eclipse, the sun moves from Aries into Taurus. And when it does that, when it moves into Taurus, it's going to make a square to Pluto. And so this is a bit of a challenging aspect because the sun and Pluto are both about our ability to take up space, to have a sense of confidence and authority and power in a way that is life enhancing versus power that is used in a way that's harmful to other people. And the sun is also related to our vitality, our sense of like, this is something that makes me unique as an individual that I have to share. And Pluto is also about the shadow qualities or the shadow side or shadow material. So shadow is any quality or dynamic that we have rejected in some way. And through that rejection, we become either unconscious of it and or sometimes we maybe project it onto someone or something else. And so shadow can be a positive quality. It can be like if you're, you know, think that, I don't know, you're not super smart or super intellectual, but you are, and you reject that part of yourself, then maybe you really admire someone else who you see as a very respected intellectual kind of person. So, so Pluto is a symbol of that process and those things where it's like, oh, this feels uncomfortable to be aware of. And we all, like, there's no getting rid of the shadow. We all have that, both personally and culturally. And so when the sun comes in to contact with Pluto in this way, the sun is sort of like shining a light into a particular area here that's connected with Pluto. And so this transit, again, it can be kind of challenging because it's a square. So it sort of requires that we become aware of either shadow material or something that has been preventing us from really acknowledging our own power and autonomy. And yeah, depending on how this connects in with your chart, it might be more subtle, it might be more dramatic, but I would just watch out for scenarios where you feel like a strong emotional reaction, because that's connecting into the Pluto energy. And so the best way to handle this is to remember that you're okay, that that you can move through this by really just being aware of the feelings that you're having, especially the more intense ones, and allowing that to come in, allowing yourself to feel that without trying to like shove it away. And again, you know, we do this, myself included, you know, sometimes we have to sort of like section something out and put it away for later until we're ready to feel that situation or that feeling. And so, yeah, there's a lot going on this week, right? A lot of change, a lot of transition. And I think also a lot of opportunity for a lot of new and interesting changes to happen that continue to unfold. Because we want to remember that this is a new moon solar eclipse. So there may be changes that are coming in that we don't see the full bloom of the situation. We don't see the full future potential just yet. So we'll pull some tarot cards for you. So I'll pull 3 cards, and you can pick a number between 1 and 3, or you can have the whole spread be for you. Okay. Okay. Ooh. So I pulled number 1. First card is the 9 of Cups. So this card is known as like the wish fulfillment card. This is a really beautiful, positive card. It's about having all of the things that you want. And this is not necessarily in the astrology, but this is sort of just what I'm thinking is it's like, I feel that this card is asking if you are letting yourself be aware, and are you acknowledging all the things that you really want? Like, are you owning, like, yes, I want this, and instead of like being like, no, I don't really need that, that's okay, it's like, no, like there's a lot of things that you want, and are you being honest with yourself? I don't know, that may or may not resonate. That's just kind of the thought that came in when I was looking at this card. It's really a card of contentment. Like, look how content. Figures they're just chill right there. And then I pulled the 4 of Wands. So the 4 of Wands is about celebration. It's also a quality, it has this quality of like union to it, like things coming together. At a more practical level, it is a symbol of weddings or parties and anything that's like this celebratory event. But not like a party simply for a party. It's like about celebrating something very special. And that this is a reminder to celebrate and to notice where things are coming together, I think. And then card number 3 is the World card. So this is a card of culmination. This is like everything is coming together either now or it is coming together. It can also be a card that symbolizes like the culmination of one thing, so that can sort of be like wrapped up and then the next chapter can begin. I'm also just kind of noticing how this wreath really looks like a portal, like it's this circular thing and the person's kind of like in the portal. So yeah, so that kind of feels like it's connecting into the eclipse energy, because the eclipse period, it is about that energy of endings and beginnings, and how endings and beginnings are all connected together. And the circle is just like this continuous theme, like the little braids that are red here. It's like they're connecting both of the pieces. So it's not like there's one ending and one beginning. Things are sort of this like flow together. I hope that makes sense. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you resonate with me and my work, I would love to do an astrology reading for you. You can find out more information on my website below. And then also just a reminder that my book is available on Amazon, The Psychopomp Function. So that is my publication of my master's thesis that I wrote for my master's in counseling degree. And also to save the date for the conference that I'll be speaking at in the fall. It's called the Astro Bash, and it's in Borrego Springs, and I would love to see you there. I'm wishing you a wonderful week and sending lots of love. I'll see you soon. Bye.